Um, we're going to be talking about your relationship evolving. Is it evolving? It doesn't matter where. I'm going to be concentrating more on how my relationships are doing in the church, but I want you to look at it in a broader scope. How is your relationship? Is your relationship evolving? And I really believe that this is something that God wants me to talk about and to have you to think about. If you saw my first video, you will see that I'm giving you some things to think about. And today, I just want to really focus on connections. And this, for a few more days, I'm going to be coming on here talking about, different aspects of the relationships evolving. And I'm going based upon experience. I believe experience is the greatest thing. Even in the Bible, it says that experience works hope, and hope maketh not ashamed. So my ideal thing here today is to work some kind of hope, or to make you think, or either to let you know that you're not crazy and there's nothing wrong with you. Okay. So even about 8 years, and there should have been some kind of connection, but there is no connection. There's something to that. Now, I could have, when I first got there, I could have had, some strong connections, but I had to lose a lot of me to connect with this group of people. They're bougie, they're judgmental, they are like, if you're like me, I'm just ratchet. I think out of the box, do crazy stuff. I may do a prank on you. I may prank you and pretend like I'm dead, or, I'm really, really out there. I'm just silly. I'm a Christian, but I'm not in a box. So if I'm around a bunch of, people who like this, then I will not get along with you. I'm not a control spirit. So it'll be very difficult for me to be with people who are poised. Now, bear in mind, I can do that, but I don't want to. I don't want to have to live in a straitjacket to buttons go to the extreme. I got high temper and everything. So when I first got there, they only met one side of me, the nice, sweet girl. Funny, I got into the choir. These are social gatherings at our church. If you go into a church, or if you're on a job, that's a social gathering. You're outside socializing on the job. There's a social aspect to everywhere we go. But I could have kept that going. If I kept it going, uh, today they would be inviting me over to their house. Uh, I would be very close to them. A lot of them were married. I would have really strong relationship. But the problem with that, my friends, my sisters and my brothers, I would have to lose me. And to get along with them, to connect with them, I will always have to be the initiator. And that's not fair to me, and it's not fair to you. I want you to look at your relationships. Look at you on the ministry team. I know, like me, you're on a ministry team. It's the same thing for 8 years, men and women, the same thing for 8 years. And when God spoke to me and said, there's no connection, look at the connection, I really didn't pay attention to it. But now I am, because God is getting you to look at that connection. But I want you to pay attention to something. Do you want a relationship with them? Is it important? Are they now worth it? See, even in this aspect now, I have come into a place of resentment now. I'm like, I no longer want your love. And I'll talk about this in another show, but in another episode. But God began to minister to me about the relationships I'm in. And he began to minister to me about my sister, who I have no relation. I'm a twin. And she's been very dogmatic and very evil her entire life to me. And she never liked me around her. And it's been a jealousy relationship. And when homeless, she would not help me or anything. But I brought her in my house to live with me. And I didn't even really charge her for rent, only $100. And she makes $5,000 a month. She was pissed off about that, trifling. So these relationships, you got to look at them. You got to look at, are your relationships evolving? And my time is kind of like far spent, but I'm going to spend the last minute talking about this. You got to look at that, I'll say that. Is it worth, are you really there for a relationship? Are you, when you go to work, are you there? You really got to know what was your reason. Do you want a relationship to develop, right? The last part I want to talk about is I want to bring you into this, what, like, we already talked about that, but what would it look like, if you were to connect to them, or what should be pretty much like your focus? You know, is it important to you? Right now, if I'm in a church setting, it is important to my leader that the ministers bond, and he can see that we're not bonding. They don't want to admit it, but we are not bonding. Now, I know what I have to do to bond with them. I have to go and knock at their door, call them every day. They're not going to reciprocate. So I gotta lose a lot of myself because they are really selfish. And on a certain part, I am too. I'm in my own space and in my own bubble. But I look in compared to the relationship that I just met my boss, and we are closer. Who I just known for a year, and I've known them for 8 years. We spend more time together. We go to dinner. My boss calls me. If I'm not showing up on the job, my boss literally gives me more love. And we are a different faith, Buddhist. I'm a Christian faith, where God in our faith, we we push love, but not really people. We don't have many devout people, and I'm still working on mine, but our relationship is totally different, me and her. So I'm going to close. I'm going to ask you about your connections. You know, is it really important that you make a connection with your group? Are you making those connections? Are you making those steps toward it? If you got into this group for you to make those connections, and you have made those steps and still nobody is bonding, I want to share with you and tell you you're in the wrong group. You need to broaden your horizon. If you are a church person, most times you're going to go around Christians. You're going to go around Christian setting because that's what they say, be around Christians. But there are people of morals, value that you may need to minister to, and you can bring them into the church, but they got more values and more ethics and than the people in the setting. You may be in the wrong church. I don't know. I can't think that for you. I can't speak for you. But even in your relationship with your husband, there should be an aspect of friendship that's evolving. If you're not evolving, you need to check and see if it's declining. Are you in the choir? Are you the relationships on your job? Are they declining? And you can look at it, and we'll talk about it next time. Is it them or is it you? And we're not going to point the finger, but we're going to a value that you should not override. You all be blessed. Sorry I went over my time. I love you. You all have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.